Paging Dr. Juan. Paging Dr. Juan.
We're live? Excellent. Everybody,
We are live in
welcome
17
back.
17 seconds.
In 17 seconds. It took quite some time.
I'm looking at the TV.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's 17-second delay because we're live. Welcome back to Revive America. It's 2023. It's a whole brand new year. I haven't done one of these in about, maybe a month or two.
It's been a while.
Yeah, but things have changed. I'm a little bit more laid back, and we got a really good friend and a new ally that's going to be joining us from here on out here on Revive America. This is Dave Herrera. I'm not going to brag too much about myself. I'm going to let the man let you know a little bit about himself. So go for it.
Thank you for having me, Billy.
Thank you.
This is exciting. This
Yeah.
is exciting. I know. I think we actually both. It just kind of just happened, like naturally. Like I think you came by my restaurant, right? And we were sitting there, and I was like, Billy, I really want to do a podcast. And you were like, man, I've been thinking about doing the same thing. And I was like, let's just do one together. And this kind of just snowballed into this. And here we are now going live. And this is exciting, to, I guess, not say to, but this is basically the next step of the political journey for now, right? Because, I mean, this is off season, and what is there to do? This is what we're doing.
So for some of the people that haven't had the opportunity to meet you yet, because Dave's going to be with us from here on out. Dave is going to be our co-host. Dave is going to be with us from now until the bitter end of Revive America.
Until the camera stop.
No, not until the camera stops.
I know where the studio's at.
Until that means he's gonna steal again. No, but Dave's gonna be on the show quite a bit. Dave, for some of the people that don't know, I became friends with Dave throughout politics in 2020. I ran for Congress, as many of you guys know. Went all over the place, had a good time. Somewhere along the lines, I ran into David, and we've been friends ever since. It's about 2020, and he decided to throw his hat in the ring and ran probably the most entertaining local race I've ever seen in my life. So, Dave, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's true. So you actually held, I think was it a Blexit rally or was it a Revive rally?
It was so it wasn't a Blexit rally. It was technically a Revive America thing. But well, we were gonna do one, but Darius was already in the process of doing his own rally.
Shout out to Darius.
Yeah, Darius Mayfield. Shout out to Darius
my
Mayfield.
Boy, my congressman right
there.
there.
So technically, it was Darius's event and Darius's rally.
Right.
And I kind of like, let's throw it together. We'll do it together. And then Jared Branch was like, oh yeah, now let's throw Blexit in it. It's kind of just been like a little bit of everything.
Right. So I remember.
It's technically Darius's rally.
I just remember seeing something on Facebook about there being like, this conservative rally in my town, and I'm like,
that's where I met you. That's right. That's
and
right.
I just remember showing up, and like I showed up late, and there was tons of people there, and I just remember seeing this 6'5" black dude in a leather jacket with how tall are you?
I'm 6'2". I'm only 6'2".
All right, bro. Shh, people don't know he's sitting down.
I'm 6'7".
6'7". He's ginormous,
huge.
But there's just this 6'3" black dude with dreads and a leather jacket, like Michael Jackson leather jacket and like these dark like Ray-Bans on and like a MAGA hat. And I'm like, yo, I don't know who this is, but like I'm about to be friends with this guy. And like I just remember listening to you speak. And like, you know what, a lot of people, and I tell people that do ask, like, you were like the main reason why I got involved, because I was like, here's a young conservative guy doing exactly opposite of what people would have expected you to do.
Yeah.
And like you were making waves, man. And I was just like, you know what, like not to like bite your style, but I was like, I'm gonna ride this wave too.
Bro, I'm glad you did it.
This young conservative wave, like I'm hopping in, and that was it. And like, yeah, we've been tight ever since.
I'm really glad you did, because that was one of the most frustrating things about me when I was in politics. It's like after a while I kind of feel like, hey, I'm the only firebrand here. Not as if that's what I wanted to be, but like so fun fact for some of the people that don't know about the leather jacket, right? When I was running in 2020, I was very
epic.
I was very
Does
suit and
Prince
tie.
know you stole his leather jacket?
Why would I tell
Purple
Prince?
rain.
Why would I tell Prince? But I was the suit and tie guy. I wore the suit and tie. Was the guy, hey, politician. That's what I thought you had to be a politician. Right? And the truth is, got no respect, got nowhere from it. In fact, the party did nothing but make things very difficult for me. And I decided, well, if I'm going to run, I might as well run the way that I'm going to run. Like, I'm from the streets. You know what I mean? I'm not going to fight anybody.
Right. Like
I could, but I'm not going to.
Be
right?
you.
Yeah, it's going to be myself.
Right.
So I'm like, screw it. I'm going to wear the jacket. If they're going to vote for me, they're going to vote for me. If they're not going to vote for me, they're not going to vote for me. And you know what? People loved it. And then I realized from then on out, and seeing some of the other politicians talk and see some of these new firebrands become up and coming, I'm like, yo, if you're yourself and you're not following some kind of wave, you're going to create your own wave. All you need is to have people with
100%.
surfboards on it. That's all.
100%. And I think that was probably the most refreshing thing. And it kind of trickled down. And like, you know what? People can say that they started it here, but like I will be the first one to say, like, you definitely started that movement here in New Jersey. And there was a lot of people who kind of, you know, not, like I said, not bite your style, but kind of just rolled with you. And I think it's created a movement. Like everyone says, you know, oh, they're grassroots, oh, they do this, but like, you know, what we saw over the last 2 campaign cycles was unlike anything, right? You know, but yeah, so I met you at that rally, and we became, you know, pretty close ever since. And like, yeah, we're not running for the same type of office, but you know, we've connected in such a way where we know, you know, we think so similarly on so many of these issues. But, you know, yeah, obviously, for those that don't know me, I obviously, after meeting Billy, I was like, you know what, I want to get involved. And I remember just calling up, you know, the local town, like, Republicans, and I'm like, what positions are open? And they're like, well, you could run for Board of Ed. I'm like, nah, I don't want to do that. And they're like, well, there's a council race. I was like, all right, I'll run for that. And they're like, have you ever ran for office? I'm like, nah. But just throw me in there.
Billy ran for Congress. You don't know what the hell he's doing. I'm doing it.
And they were very kind of standoffish about it. And they're like, well, you know, we've got like 5 other candidates. And, you know, I went in there, and to this day, I was told, like, they're like, you had the most aggressive closing interview, right? Because they ask everybody the same question, right? It was like, all right, Dave, like, you know, you had a great interview, you answered all your questions.
Didn't even do that to me,
right? Oh, well, yeah. Well, listen, you're Billy, bro. Like, but they were like, so let's just say that, you know, we don't pick you for council. What are you gonna do? And I looked him straight in the face, like, without taking any breath, and I was like, you better pick me, or you're gonna run against me. And they made that face. They made that face.
What an answer.
They were like,
what an
yo.
answer.
I was like, yo, I didn't come here for second place or for you to say maybe next year. And like the truth is like I campaigned like for that seat against, you know, doctors, lawyers, like titans of industry. Like here I am, like this 30-year-old, like bearded, tattooed guy. Like, well, they didn't know I was tattooed at the time because I had like the suit on and all that. But, you know, I showed up there and I'm like, I didn't have any experience. And I was like, you're going to pick me or you're going to primary me. And like, they were like, it was the most aggressive answer and you almost lost half the room. But like after a few minutes, they were like, you know, this kid means business. Let's give him a shot. And like, obviously, you know, we didn't win the first or the second race, but, you know, we forever changed the landscape of like what people are doing, like both for you and myself, of what people should not only expect from a candidate, but like we're setting the bar of like, you can't just come in here anymore and say, you know, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. Like people want that, you know, excitement back and realism. And I think that's why me and you connect so well, is because, you know, the establishment can't tell us nothing. People can't tell us nothing. Like, but people love that because people are tired of hearing the same old.
Dude, you know what's funny about you saying that? and Juan, when you get the chance, could you please pull the story up? Right now, and we were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Right.
The speakers race has been going on for the past 3 days. And yesterday, right, before we talk about what happened today, yesterday, they asked him a question when he was standing on the steps of the Capitol.
Yeah, they're like, are you nervous?
And he was like, bro, I'm 6'2", 275 pounds. How many
Yeah.
times have I said that to people, though, bro? I'm like,
Bro.
yo, I'm not afraid of these people,
See,
bro. What are you going to fight me?
Even he stole.
You're going to break my jaw? Not happening.
Nah, he stole your flair, bro. That's what
I'm pretty sure
saying.
he's been saying that for a while, too. He's a big dude. You know what I mean? So I'm like, bro, like, I am not afraid of any of you politicians, any of you guys in your suits.
Right.
The guys with the money, none of that.
So McCarthy fails to win, right? The 10th time. And this is the first time it's happened, right? In 163.
1923.
No, 163 years. 1860.
1860.
1860.
Oh, I read that
It was-
wrong. You're
yeah.
right.
So when it was 9, it was what you said. But now we're at 10. We're going into the 11th vote, day 3, and it's never. But the question now becomes, of do people want to continue to elect these cookie cutter politicians? Do people want to continue to elect these establishment people on both sides, right? This isn't just a conservative talking point here. Do people still want, the baseline Democrat, these baseline conservatives that, tell you everything's great, like we've learned, right? During election
Total
season,
bullshit.
people come out, they tell you we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and then when the campaign's over, it's back to business as usual. And I think, while I don't necessarily agree with, the 20 of them or whatever, I do agree that this is exactly what democracy should be about.
100%.
Right? Like, just because me and you are Republicans doesn't mean that I have to go in there and co-sign Kevin McCarthy.
Right. That's like asking me to vote for Mitt Romney.
I would never do that.
Or vote for Mike Pence. You have to. You must vote for Mike Pence because I told you to vote for Mike
when
Pence.
that fly landed on Mike Pence's head, he lost all credibility.
Bro, that was it. That was it.
It
That's
was
when you knew
over.
he was a piece of
You know what?
Pence.
Hey.
Piece of Pence.
So we're going into day 3 of this voting here.
See the subject change?
I had to do it, bro. It was going to take a turn. It was
Yeah.
going to take a turn.
But yeah.
I feel like Ricky Bobby right now. I don't know if the microphone is too close. Can you hear me out there? Am I good? Right? Because I feel like, all right, because I was like, I feel like I got to like get real close. I don't know why. But it's making me like hunch
Feel
over.
like
and
real
lean.
radio
Yeah,
DJ.
man, this is my first time doing this. So obviously, look, there was a good chance that you were going to be sitting up there.
100%.
And would you have been part of the 20?
Bro, I'd be number 21. And there's a lot of people that we ran with in this 2022 election. I'm almost positive every single one of the people that I ran with this year, whether it would have been Carla Spalding, Darius Mayfield, Joe Collins, any of these people, right, that are running, I think almost all of them would have went across the board and said, hey, we're going against McCarthy. And my main thing with McCarthy is I remember reaching out to his office in 2020 and in 2022. I'm like, hey, guy, no long shot, not gonna do it. Same guy goes and helps all these other candidates all across the state. I still had one of the closest races in the entire state where I shouldn't have even gotten those kinds of results because
Right.
the problem I've got with the Republican Party, they put a lot of their focus and their emphasis on numbers, right? And not that there's anything wrong with that. You should have your facts, you should have your numbers, but they put, well, we can't go in that race because it's just not winnable. Well, has anybody ever gone in there? Well, no.
Yeah, but you know what? Let's go back to that for a second, right? You talk about these unwinnable races. And what we've seen, not only statewide, but we've seen nationwide,
Yeah.
is races that people considered unwinnable become winnable. And it really comes back to what me and you and tons of other candidates that we know personally are doing, and it's being grassroots. It's, there's no race, in my opinion, that is unwinnable. I just think that candidates should be better, and I think the support needs to be better.
And you got to work your ass off, bro.
Man, I can tell you, like, from my family, everybody that was involved in my life, girlfriend, in both elections, like, everyone was like, I don't know how you do it, how you manage to run a business, how you manage to campaign,
Yeah.
and how you manage to have sanity. And the short answer is you don't. The short answer is you don't. You are literally giving up every part of your being to serve people, right? Like, I don't know about other people, but I can say for myself, like, I didn't run for office for any sort of political clout.
Right.
I didn't do this, some of the people in East Brunswick that might be watching this think I did this just to push some MAGA agenda. Or
It was going to happen regardless.
Yeah, I know. But, like, no, I really did it because, like, look, I'm in recovery. A lot of people know that. You know that. And, my sponsor always tells me about service, right? Because we do service work in recovery. And service, the definition of service is the posture of your heart, right? So you do service without expecting anything. You
Right.
do it because you think it's the right thing to do. And, that's the only reason why I even put my hat in the ring. I was like, I'm tired of seeing people feel like they're run over. Look, as a small business owner who survived during the pandemic, I can tell you firsthand, like, the government did not care about us. They steamrolled us. They did not care what happened to our business. Like, if you made it, like, they gave you, like, the old thumbs up, but, like, there was no real, like, you gave me PPE money, but you know what? You also have people so afraid to actually come out and frequent your business. Like, the landscape has forever been changed. But I think people like yourself, the Dariuses of the world, me, like, we did this because it was about a posture of our heart. Like, I used to say this all the time. Like, I live in a plus, 2-to-1 Democrat town. Me winning as a Republican, there's no pot of gold at the end of that rainbow here. That's hard work. Like, it would continue to be hard work. Like, just because the campaign would be over doesn't mean that, the work ended. It would be a constant trying to get people to see the positive that you want to do.
Yeah.
And I mean, look, you know better than anybody. Like, I devoted the last 2 years of my life, but you devoted the last 4 years of your life.
Pain, pure pain, pure pain. My heart knows nothing but pain.
But let me ask you, would if knowing what you know now, right? Knowing what you know now about the establishment, about campaigning, about the amount of door knocking you have to do, fundraising you have to do, all these things, would you do it again?
You know what's funny, bro? Shout out to Chauncey Brown if he's listening to this, because Chauncey Brown's the reason why I was kind of prepared for this, because I went into politics super naive. You know what I mean?
I don't think anybody goes into it seasoned. Like,
man, did I not know what I was talking about, bro?
Man.
I came in there like, run Donald Trump and it's gonna be great, and and I'm like, yo, it's a cesspool. Pascal's a cesspool. All this stuff.
Right.
And then I start looking into it myself, and I'm like, even people in your own party are gonna stab you in the back. And that's what I learned very quickly. I'm putting my leather jacket on, man. I don't care about this anymore. I'm gonna run it the way that I see best. And people want someone that's gonna tell the truth.
Right.
While the media and some of these politicians will try and tell you that you gotta have this guy that's got experience, someone who's a real estate agent, someone who's a lawyer, someone who's been doing this for God knows how long in some chamber of some political office.
Right.
That's the guy you gotta choose. But the truth is, the people that I think have the best impact are the ones who I see that are the most active in their communities and taking their job seriously, are the people that have actually been in the dirt, the people that live at the lowest part of it.
Since you kind of mentioned Pascrell, like, I remember, obviously I followed your campaign closely, and you ask yourself, like, who do I believe is the best person to fix a town like Paterson, right? Yeah, okay, we can go off the resume and say, well, Bill Pascrell's been doing it since before you were born. And, like, almost whatever.
Yeah.
Like, pretty close. Like,
there.
Come on. But Billy didn't have a leather jacket back then.
No.
Or someone who is actively every single day living in the Fourth Ward, right? Or, somebody that is actively in that community that sees the problems from first-person perspective. Because, I mean, like I said, I don't know the guy, but I can guarantee he's not living in Paterson.
No.
I can guarantee you he's not, dealing. Like, I mean, bro, we're friends on all sorts of social media. Like, you would send me videos at, like, 3 a.m. of, like, gunshots, of, like, casings on the ground, ambulances, police. Like, you were, but I'm saying, but you were living. It is
sad.
wild.
It's sad. I mean, I shouldn't even be
sad.
laughing about it because it's crazy.
Honestly, though, if you can't laugh, like, I mean, and I hate to, I'm not saying you would, but it's like,
I know what you mean.
You almost want to cry.
Because what else can you do, bro? You deal with it all the time. It's like, this sucks.
I'm one of those people, like, I laugh at pain.
You have to,
because
at some point.
if I don't, it'll eat me alive.
Yeah.
But I truly believe that someone like yourself is better suited. Forget the fact that maybe you don't have that quote unquote political resume. Like, you're real. Like, you live in this community. You know these streets. You know the lady next door. You know the guy who owns the business up the street. Like, you're actually talking to them. You understand this. And the same thing, like, in my town, like, yeah, it was a smaller thing, but, like, everyone that I ran against for the last 2 years was, like, these elite people that lived in, like, had these nice jobs or were retired, and they lived on the nice part of town where there was no traffic. They weren't on the highway, but everything they voted on affected the people 4 miles away.
Bro.
And it's okay because, like, if you build, and I used to make the joke, they all live out by, it's called Farrington Lake. And, like, on Route 18 now, we're seeing, we talked about this, the condominium resurgence, right? It's happening all over the place. We're seeing townhouses and developers and all these big apartments go everywhere. But they're not happening in the areas that these people live in. So it's okay to vote on it.
Bro, you know what's crazy about you saying that, bro? It reminds me of a couple of things. I'm going to have to pick on Franklin Lakes for a little bit. I love the people of Franklin Lakes, super Republican. They helped me quite a bit during this previous race.
Right.
But one of the things that one of the issues that I've got with this district, or at least Republicans within this district, is I think that they don't really understand the magnitude of what's going to happen if they don't start making appropriate decisions. I told the people of Franklin Lakes last year, and I was like, hey, you guys got Bill Pascrell.
Mm-hmm.
You guys just got brought into Franklin Lakes. You guys are super Republican.
Right.
Mark my words, and I'm not playing with you guys. I'm not trying to, like, you know, scare you guys or blow smoke.
Right.
If we don't beat Pascrell,
It's over.
it's over. It's over.
Right? Like the same thing. I get it.
And let me break it down. Why? Because I'm like, when I started running in 2020,
right.
I attacked the mayor of Patterson relentlessly. In fact, the first political
those
video.
were funny. Like you were showing up to like events, and you're like, "Why don't you shake my hand?"
Even before,
Stop taking my picture.
Even before, that was what I was getting.
Like,
Wow,
Billy, you're a menace.
that was
You're
when
a
I
menace.
I was being a menace. But like when I first started, I'm in my car ranting to this guy.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and people would tell me, "Oh, you're running for Congress. Don't talk about the mayor." And I'm like, "Trust me, this guy is running for Congress. No, he's not. No, he's not. That's Pascrell's protege."
Yeah.
If you don't beat Pascrell, you're running against that guy, right? And none of you guys are going to beat that guy.
Right.
And if it's not him, it's going to be the assemblyman, Benji Wimberly. And you guys are definitely not going to beat him.
Right.
To make matters worse, we got some random guy who ran against, not even Pascrell, ran against the guy before Pascrell, Steve Rothman, before the district got broken up into the 9th, right?
Right.
As soon as the 9th district got very blue and Bill Pascrell came in, this guy tucked tail and walked away, right? Ran in 08, ran in 06.
Yeah.
Now he's back. And suddenly this guy believes that he's going to win. I'm going to be able to beat Pascrell. This is a problem with Republicans, bro. It's like the logic just makes no sense to me sometimes.
Well, but that, again, I think is a very, very, like this whole thing was a very long explanation to bring you back to why me and you decided to come here, why me and you decided to do this Revive America podcast. And it's because, look, I know we talked. Like I called you, you know, probably the day after the election, and we talked. And we've been in
That was
contact.
like a 3-hour call too, man.
Yeah, we talked for a long time, and it was like a piece of you. Like when you don't win, like look, it hurts. It hurts.
I wasn't even mad.
I was mad. Nah, listen. I was mad
because I knew they were gonna.
was
I knew they
mad.
were gonna cheat, bro. I was aware of the fact
well,
that
that's
they were gonna,
another conversation.
Yeah.
But the point is, you know, it's okay. What do we do now? Right? Because like even
Yeah.
and I haven't fully decided yet. Like maybe I want to run, maybe I don't want to run, maybe I want to do something on a state level, maybe not. But what I do know is that I love, I guess, stoking the flame.
Yeah.
Right? Like I would walk into, like you would be like, bro, you would watch my council videos and you're like, bro, you would just walk into this council meeting and you would shred these people.
Just drop pipe bombs
Just
and walk
drop,
out.
just drop in, and you know, and then I was on the podcast with our friend Jasmine, and like, you know, I became known as like the Brunswick Batman, right? Like I'd just walk in, I'd be like, "Where's the money? You guys are messing around with my town." Like, you know, I was just like, I became like a vigilante. Not that I wanted to be, but somebody has to be,
Yeah.
right? Like maybe I'm not the hero that you want, but I'm the hero that you might need, right? And I'm not here saying I'm a hero or anything, but the truth is we wanted to do this because while there isn't an election, you know, for the next 2 years, right? I mean, you could do some other stuff.
Well,
but
no, I am doing some other things. Actually, November. What am I talking about? This year, I'm going to be helping the candidates in District 36.
right. I mean, specifically for yourself.
Well,
Like-
that is still for myself.
Okay.
And let me tell you why. I love these guys, and I believe they are going to win. They got 44% the last go around. About 80% of their legislative district is in District 9. So
Right.
it's like, you know, it would behoove me to not help them, and they also helped me a lot, very much.
But
in
doing
2020 and
this,
22.
doing this is a way for you to keep, you know, your reach, keep talking to people because. I mean, look, me and Billy went to an event in Orlando last year together. And,
man.
like, you know, in New Jersey, like, we go to events in New Jersey and, like, everybody knows Billy. And I'm like, yeah, it's because Billy, you know, he's Billy. You know, he's the guy with the leather jacket. And, like, but people know me, too. And, like, my county and stuff, like, I'd go places. People are like, I watch your videos. And, like, I went to Orlando and, like,
Oh, yeah. I know what you're about to say.
Bro,
oh, yeah.
I never seen, like, this guy was a celebrity in the political world. Like, I felt like I was people thought I was your secretary, like I was your manager.
People thought we were like
Yeah,
out
but
of something.
No, but the people were like, "Oh, like, are you like his manager?" I was like, "Bro, I'm a candidate too," and they're like, "Get out of the way!" Like we're talking to Billy, but like I was like, "All right," like, but it was it was so amazing to see because again, here's a guy that, you know, despite your best efforts, you haven't held an office, you're new to the game, and like people like go crazy for what you have to say because it's the truth, because it's unfiltered, because it's what we want to hear. We're tired of logging on to the mainstream media and getting fed this diet of BS, this diet of like this watered down news. Like I stopped like honestly today was the first time I actually turned on the news in probably 6 months because I just wanted to see what was going on with the speaker race.
I mean, how could you not?
Other than that, I have not. Like I read independent sources or I don't, or I talk with people like you and we back and forth like what we're hearing. But that's the point of this podcast was really just to keep both of our names, not really like that's not about we want to stay relevant, but it was about keeping you guys informed, keeping the fight going, and hopefully along the way, finding another person the way that I found Billy 3 years ago, right? Hopefully coming across like somebody sees this and the same way that you inspired me to want to, put on my shoes and run my own race. Maybe there's somebody out there that feels the way we do, that doesn't think there's a chance for them, that doesn't believe there's an opportunity, that doesn't know where to start. And they watch this and they go, yo, I'm going to run now too.
The one thing that I will say about that, man, is like, especially if you think you ain't got it, is F that. Do it anyway.
Do it.
Because you know who I told that to and it played off fantastically well? I told that to Jen McCarr.
And she won
twice.
Congratulations.
Twice.
And
she just got reelected.
Good
Exactly.
job. Like
she got reelected. The first time we spoke, she was
but
like,
people in her town were telling her not to run.
I know. And I was like, fuck that. Excuse my language. But I'm like,
and she ran.
I'm like,
and she won. And the truth is because, look, and I've become cool with the GOP in Middlesex, but
all right,
they're cool. They like them, and they work in my town, and I have no problems with them. But the insiders told me that my first election, they didn't like me because I was saying what I wanted to say. I was doing what I wanted to do, and they didn't give me no money my first election, bro. Come on, my grandma gives me more for Christmas than the
you
GOP.
Got money?
Yeah,
they gave you money.
It was almost
you
like
got money.
I think the cost of the check was more than the amount.
Paper costs more.
Yeah, the paper. Well, this is Biden's America. It's expensive, but no, and I'm not knocking them, but it's to explain that you have to prove yourself because when they saw my numbers on election night, here's an unknown kid. That came out, that said what he wanted to say, that challenged these elites that have been running my town for a decade. And I came like 200, 300 votes short.
That would kill me, bro, right there. It's like, I'm like, bro, it was right there. It was right there. 200 of you guys just had to show up. That's it.
But you know what? The next year, the GOP came to me and they were like, even though they may not have agreed with my approach, they're like, this approach works.
This guy's going to win.
This guy, here we are.
Listen, man. Bro, like, see, the truth is, it's like, even with the support that they came, bro, that they gave, the party could have definitely done a hell of a lot more. The party sometimes
thinks because they do what you said. They deem races unwinnable, and they don't really do things. That's not the case for my race, but that was the case for your race. They were like, Billy going against Pasquarel, like, let him do his thing.
Yo, man.
I did have the full support of the GOP this year, which I am grateful for, and I give them a lot of credit.
Must be nice. F. Bob Hugan.
I
said it on air. I don't care, man.
Okay.
I've said it to his face already, so I don't care.
Listen. But we want to continue. We want to grow the grassroots, and I think the one thing I love about the dynamic is like when we talked about this on the way here, and I was like, why this works is we're clearly, obviously, even though this is my brother, we're from two different backgrounds. We're two different races. We're from two different areas. We came up two completely different races. We ran for two different forms of government, federal
local.
And local. But me and you come together, and we're here to try to show people that, it's and also not to mention two different counties, right? Passaic County,
right.
Middlesex County, right? We're completely two different areas. It took me an hour to get up here today. But we need to stop doing that. We're like, I can't support Billy because Billy's in Passaic. Like, no, bro. If I have time to give to Billy, if I'm gonna come and I can knock some doors for you, or I could share one of your posts, or I can attend. I've been to how many of your fundraisers? 3 or 4 of your fundraisers. If you throw a fundraiser, I'm there. Right, and I found that cigar guy, which is the man. Shout out to Silverback Cigars.
Silverback Cigars.
That guy's the truth.
Hey! Speaking of that, we should actually reach out to because that was actually a perfect time. Yo, Juan, change the camera. And that was actually the perfect time to talk about the random object of the day. So one of the things that we came up with here. You know, a lot of businesses are out there. You guys got a lot of products. You got things that you want to get a lot of exposure. This podcast is going to blow up one day. So we do have the very luxurious space that is occupied by this plastic Adidas because Adidas is fake. They're not a good company anymore. I don't care if you like Adidas. But
I can't wear Adidas. I have a wide foot. It doesn't fit.
Well, even more of a reason why I don't like Adidas.
Suck Adidas.
The random object of the day. If you got a product that you want to bring to the table, you want us to have it put up here, let us know. send us a DM, mail it to us. And yes, there will be a charge. You have to keep the lights on here. It's a great way for us to raise funds.
And if you're wondering what kind of goods we like, I like vapes, hot sauces, and snacks.
It could literally be anything. Okay,
Anything. Send
just
it.
nothing,
Preferably edible. Something we
nothing crazy. Like, don't send me like something crazy.
No sex
you,
toys.
You said it, not me. But
Oh,
don't send me
Blame the
anything-
white guy.
Don't
This
send
is
me anything. Don't send me anything crazy. But yeah, you can advertise your product here. You can advertise anything here. Hit us up, DM us. You can have your random object of the day here at Revive America, right? Even if I don't agree with you and I don't like you, listen, man, if you're willing to pay the bucks to be advertised and it's not vulgar and it's not going to get me shot in the face, we'll put it up there for you.
Yo.
Just being real.
So what's the next story we got, Juan? Let's
Yeah, that
dive back
story.
into this. What do we got now? And obviously, we're keeping it a little light today, right? This is going to be our introductory episode here where we're just talking. But we have, so obviously, we have,
Oh, yeah.
we had that story. We talked about that where we are now in the midst, right? So,
Yeah, you told me about this. I didn't even know about this
I
yet.
know this. So this is breaking news. After over 2 years of sitting in the Oval Office, President Sleepy Joe is finally making his first trip to Mexico, the border, right? I actually just came back from Mexico.
How was that?
That was actually really awesome. It was good, you know. But you do learn a lot. Did you know that the average wage in Mexico is $1.50 an hour?
I don't doubt it. I mean, when I went to the border and I saw it, I was like, it's pretty wild. So I
But
thought it would probably be less, honestly.
Here we are, and we finally, after 2 years, now we were just talking about this earlier. I think, and you may disagree with me, and you at home may disagree with me. I think the top 3 pressing issues in America right now are, and in no specific order, are the economy, the inflation
I agree.
of goods right now, and border security.
No, that's the 3
Right.
things that I'm focused on right,
Right.
now.
Those are the top 3 issues, and I don't care what side of the political spectrum you live in. We all pay the same at the pump. We're all seeing the same thing at the grocery store. We're all feeling it. And you know, we obviously maybe have a little bit of different perspective, especially, and I'm talking mostly to the Democrats that live up here in the north. You know, you're not really looking at calling it a crisis on the border because it doesn't really affect you the same way because it's not your backyard. You know, they're not flooding.
Nobody's illegal.
Right, they're not. Yeah, I get it, but they're not flooding. You know, Ellis Island. They're not flooding. You know, downtown Manhattan.
Right.
They're flooding El Paso, Texas.
Well, actually, they are, bro.
Well, now they are.
There's
but
a
they're
ton of
they're
people
getting
on,
buzzed.
and there's a lot of people in Manhattan selling mangoes on the road and stuff.
But I
now.
guess the question, and you can leave this below in the comments: do you believe that waiting 2 years to finally make an appearance after repealing all of, whether you like the last president or not, all of the things that were keeping the stay in Mexico order, you know, building a secure wall across the border to make sure that certain things like this weren't happening? Do you believe that waiting 2 years to do one of the top 3 most important things as president is acceptable? And when we made this comment saying, look, I own a restaurant. The top 3 things I need to handle are payroll, ordering liquor, and ordering food. Now, if I didn't do one of those things for the last 2 years, would I still have a job?
It's over. Especially during the pandemic, it's over.
It'd be over. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think it's a little too late at this point? Do you believe that there's going to be a change, or is this just a dog and pony show?
You know why I'm going to say it's not too late? Because you just said it. It's a dog and pony show. It's not too late because I've noticed a pattern in politics, right? Whenever an election's about to come up, usually the last 2 years or so, or the last year before a major election comes up, that's when they really start to get the gears in motion, right?
Right.
Even here in this city, right, the mayor's been a disaster for the past 4 years. Now suddenly you're hiring police officers. Now you want everyone to wear the mask. They're doing all this crap.
Right.
They do it to try and look good for the next upcoming election. They
Right.
know it. But
Yeah.
the truth is, the average American
Yeah.
is, Biden. Biden, everything he did is so great.
It's
so.
crazy. And you know, this is a bigger issue, right? And my issue with the borders being open, right, is really not just like, because look, I'm not against immigration. Obviously, like my entire family immigrated here. You know, I got a grandfather from St. Vincent. My dad is from Cuba. My great grandfather came from Argentina. My great mother came from Italy. So on and so forth. You know, so I believe immigration is what does make this country amazing. But unchecked, unmitigated immigration, illegal immigration is dangerous. One, for obviously the economic reasons that we know, but obviously going back to me talking about being in recovery, here's a little statistic that I love to tell people, and people don't really like to talk about this. So we're in 2023, but most people don't know that in 2022, fentanyl, right? We're going there.
Oh, yeah.
Fentanyl, and I've told this to Billy, fentanyl overdoses in the United States accounted for more deaths than COVID, right? I said it. COVID, car accidents,
And we're demonetized.
and and back to your regular scheduled programming. COVID, car accidents, and suicide rates combined, right? So that means more people died from fentanyl than those three things, right? And COVID has been a topic of headlines for the last 3 years. And, car accidents, people die all the time from that. And there will be some people that will come after us and say, well, using drugs is a choice. Like, dude, it's not a choice. I didn't wake up one day and decide that I wanted to be this disastrous monster. So if that's a choice, like, I don't think any of us would have made it. The point is that this stuff is flooding across the border. It's not being talked about. And it's killing millions and millions of Americans. And I don't think there's an end in sight because – we talk about the word pandemic all the time, but there has been a drug pandemic in the United States for the last 3 or 4 decades, and it hasn't always been fentanyl. I mean, we talk about, the crack outbreaks. We had people doing that, and then, we've seen it slowly go, and all while we're all paying attention to these.
No, sorry to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Would you think that this is worse, the fentanyl epidemic versus
100%.
Crack?
100%.
Because at least with crack, everybody was. Because I remember being a kid and people out here doing crack, like
Right.
they're on the streets, but
I
people
mean,
weren't
it's-
dying and dropping
Again,
dead and stuff.
I've spent-
Not that to make it any better.
Right, no. I mean, I've spent the last few years, doing a lot of volunteer work at rehab facilities, and look, I'm not here to say one is better or worse than the other, but people aren't, like you said, people aren't really ODing from like crack cocaine, right? It's totally screwing their lives up. It's totally making their lives unmanageable. It's a horrible thing that's happening, but people aren't dropping like flies the way they are from fentanyl.
Yeah.
People are dying all the time, and it's literally, I think they showed it's like a pin drop amount of fentanyl to kill somebody.
You seen that video of that cop who was doing like a road search? He opens up the back trunk of this car and he mistakenly, I guess there was like fentanyl dust in the air. He opens it up and he freaking collapsed like almost immediately. They had the Narcan him.
It is super deadly.
Scary video.
And you know what? The thing is that the American response from the U.S. government isn't to try to help people. It's to try to make it easier for them and making sure that they don't die. Like, I don't know, we don't have an article for it, but since we're on the topic, a few months back, New York actually took an abandoned homeless shelter and reopened it, and it's now a safe space for people to get high. Right? So what they do is they
I didn't know it was a homeless center.
Yeah, it was like an abandoned either homeless shelter or orphanage, one of those like big apartment type of buildings, and they basically staffed it with nurses and Narcan and allowed people to come in there and, be able to get high, shoot up, and if God forbid, they overdose, there's somebody there, bring them back. And, that's only perpetuating the problem. Like, and I know, obviously Darius ran against, Bonnie Watson Coleman, and one of her big things was she wanted to decriminalize drugs like this all across the board, and because, then, and I love having conversations like this because, Darius is like, oh, it's because we're perpetuating racism against Black America. Right, and this was coming.
That's what Watson said.
Watson was saying that having these felony charges on drugs like this was perpetuating racism across the board.
So black people are drug addicts.
Basically, and the unfortunate reality is this has nothing to do. Rather than I always said this. Rather than I believe personally, if like let's say you get caught with a bag and of cocaine, heroin, whatever, it carries around the same charge. It's a felony charge. It's about 10 years minimum. Rather than locking that person up, right, debilitating them, because let's face it, look, we talk about technology. Like this phone, 10 years from now is obsolete. It's a phone you would see at a junkyard for
3
probably
years.
Exactly. So imagine 10 years. Imagine being locked up for 10 years and getting back into the real world and trying to assimilate back. It's impossible. I'd say that rather than putting people in these lockups for being caught with, why aren't we rehabilitating people? Why aren't we starting to create programs that are helping people get off? Why aren't we helping get off the drugs? Like, why aren't we helping people find out that there's a better way to live? Like, and I'm not here to push any kind of 12-step program on anybody.
No, I mean, I don't see why not.
But if we're out here, if we're seeing the rates and the numbers in which we're seeing, why aren't we doing something to help people? Because you know why? It's not a sexy topic. It's not a headline topic. It doesn't bring fear. It doesn't sell any
should,
product.
man, because it could be anybody's relative this happens to.
They 1 in 5 Americans, right? And America is what, like 264 million people, something like that.
Yeah.
Ridiculous number. 1 in 5 Americans either know somebody in their friend group, family group, or their spouses, or know someone like in their friend group that is an addict. 1 in 5. right? So that's, what, like 60 million Americans that suffer silently. Majority of them suffer silently. And we're not doing anything to help them. So that's my real big issue with the border. That's my big issue with letting it flood. And there's a whole bunch of topics we can talk about that. But number one that we're not talking about on top of the drugs is, what about the trafficking that's happening across the border? And I know you went down there, so maybe you could touch on that.
So, oh man, if only Jasmine was here, because Jasmine, she's seen far worse stuff than I've seen.
Right, and I know I
when
talked
was
to her
at the
about
border.
that on the phone too.
Because when I went down to the border, man, first off, I've seen a lot of crazy stuff in my life. All right, like I've seen people get shot in front of me. I've seen some terrible things.
Right.
That right there, the border, was probably the craziest experience I've ever seen. Because what made it crazy was, these are like, anybody could be watching TV and be like, people are coming across the border. It's just crazy.
Right.
But to see it with your own eyes, it's like, yeah, these are humans. I get it.
Yeah.
But it's like, man, these people are in a dire situation. They're coming over here. But they're coming in an unstoppable mass. And then when your own border agents can't stop them, not because they don't want to, but their hands are tied, it becomes a very sad, man. I guess, for lack of a better word, bro, because they're being used as political pawns in this situation.
100%.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And it's like it's no fault to their own.
To
Look
go
at what they're being
deeper to
advertised.
that, right? When they talk about these migrant caravans that are coming here, what they don't like to talk about is these people. First of all, you're telling me you want me, right? And I'm a common sense guy, right? Look, and I have sympathy too for these people that, again, after spending a week in Mexico, and like I said, I rented a car and I left the resort area because I'm one of those people
me too,
it's cool to be at the resort, but I want to see the country, right? Because I always believe that when you travel outside of America, number one, you learn something, obviously, but number two, you gain perspective on the life that you have now, right? The same thing happened when I was in Jamaica. The same thing happened when I traveled to the Bahamas, right? They're beautiful at the resort. But when you go outside and you see how the people who live in those countries actually
Get a real
live,
picture.
you gain a perspective for man, we complain. Again, I don't have the newest phone. I don't have the newest fake Adidas. We complain about things like that. But there was people in Mexico that were living in these, houses made of cardboard boxes. People living in these tin roof houses. People waiting outside in blistering heat for transportation.
At least we got Obama phones up here.
And and obviously everywhere we went, there was Mexican military walking around with the ARs, and I get it for the cartel and all that stuff. So there's part of me that understands. Look, and you make $1.50 an hour. Why I would leave? And we joke and we're like, these Mexicans, they come here, they make $7 an hour. It's like, bro, if I was making $1.50 an hour, and then I decided and I come to America and I make $7.50, that's a 500% increase.
Oh yeah,
I'd risk it. I would 100. If you told me right now, for the salary that I have, if I moved to any other country, you would give me a 500% increase. Book my ticket today. Book my ticket today. I love this country, but if you were going to tell me you would pay me 500% more, I would leave.
even if it was the CCP.
Yeah,
Yeah,
China.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean,
nah,
maybe.
bro. You ever heard of those white monkey jobs?
No.
And look it up, bro. It's all over TikTok.
What the hell is that?
So just now that we're on that topic, we're probably gonna run late real quick. But
That's okay.
the white monkey jobs, in TikTok, I mean in China,
Once
they'll hire these. You said we're good?
Yeah, you said keep going.
Okay, good. They'll hire a white Western person that can speak Chinese, and they'll have them shill all kinds of Chinese products and Chinese propaganda, and the CCP's the best, and they'll pay these guys ludicrous amounts of money
That's racist.
so they can spread that kind of crap on
That's
TikTok.
racist.
Look, man, their strategy's working. The Chinese know what they're doing. Look, people believe in all kinds of nonsense now because
don't
of these kinds of jobs here, man.
I never heard that term.
Look it up. It's a real thing.
I don't.
The white
I don't-
monkey
There's
jobs.
certain things I just don't want in my search.
I'm just
history.
saying, bro.
You can look it up on your phone.
Bro,
I'll
that's not
read over your
racist. I'm
shoulder.
like, that's really what they call them, bro. It's not racist, man.
But anyway, that goes back to to what we were saying. But these caravans, right? So where I was at, was South Mexico, probably about well over 1,000 miles from the border.
Yeah.
And these people are getting to the border and they're taking photos, holding brand new iPhones, in brand new sneakers, wearing brand new clean clothes, carrying no luggage. You want me to believe that you trekked 1,000 miles, not knowing anything, with no money, and you have brand new shoes, you have the latest iPhone, and you brought no clothes with you.
Dude,
You also brought your kid on your back too.
that's the same thing we saw when they were crossing into the border when we went over there in Mexico.
Yep.
And I'm talking little kids with no shoes, and I'm like, And when we were talking to them, they're like talking with us.
That's
in
for
Spanish.
the photo. That's for the photo.
Oh, well, not even. There were no cameras to catch them. But it's like when they came to our car, we were talking to them. Like, oh yeah, they told us in Spanish, like, oh, we walked from Honduras, and I'm like, that kid would be walking on nubs if you walked from Honduras like
listen,
that with no shoes,
you
man.
can't do that. You can't.
They take
And
them off and throw them out somewhere.
They get bussed in.
Yep.
It's paid for by somebody, right? There, you could speculate however you want on who pays
It's
for
the
it.
U.S. government, bro. To some degree,
Okay,
they're,
all right,
they're
well,
subsidizing it.
he
They're
said
definitely subsidizing. They are. It's a fact, bro.
not me.
And Catholic Charities, it's true. Look it up.
But they bust them
Yes, 100%.
right before the photo op, and then they all get off the bus, and they take their photo. And then they get to the other side of the border, and taxpayer-funded, buses and planes send them all over the country. And I get it, man. Look, because again, I always consider myself to be a diplomat, right? I like to look at both sides of the aisle here. So I can understand being from South America, being from Mexico, having a family, not wanting to deal with the cartel, wanting a better life. I can understand you wanting to risk it all to come here. But then I look at it from the side of the American perspective of what are we doing? What precedents are we setting for future caravans?
Exactly.
What precedents are we setting for the American people? And I remember watching this thing a while ago, and it was talking about how the best way to help people in impoverished nations is to help them where they are.
Correct. I've
Right,
heard that
because
before.
it was a whole video with like gumballs.
Yep,
and
I was just
right,
thinking about that in my head while you were talking
and
about
he kept pouring the gumballs in and pouring the gumballs in, and eventually it overflowed.
Yeah.
And and again, people can talk about how America is this, America is that, and you know what I always say? Name a better place to live.
Bro.
And you know what everybody does? Everybody always goes, Switzerland. I was like, where you pay 70% tax?
Bro, you know something funny about you saying that, bro? I got into a real bad, I wouldn't even call it bad because it's not even that serious, but I got into a pretty reasonable argument with one of my cousins that came from Africa, right?
Okay.
We used to be very cool. I really can't stand the guy anymore.
All right,
Because I'm like, yo, bro,
family.
let me tell you something, bro. You when you were in Africa, you were literally eating feces, my boy.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not even joking.
No.
Right? You were in dire poverty, every single one of you. And since you've been in the United States, you've done nothing but talk very negatively about my country that I love and that I fall for. Yet, if it wasn't for, America's such a bad country, but I'm like, if it wasn't for us Americans here that took money out of our pockets, right? We sacrificed our college to get you guys over here. We brought you guys over to this country. Now you guys want to play us out?
Right.
Can't stand that kind
But
of nonsense.
that's what people do. People come to the country that gives them the freedom, the opportunity.
The freedom to talk crap. That's what it is.
Yo, you know what? I say this all the time. Like, for all the people that are like, they want to burn flags, they want to do this. I'm like, go do that in Russia.
Yeah.
Find out. Right?
Burn Iran's flag, bro.
Burn China's flag.
Burn anybody's
Bro,
flag but America's flag. Watch what
the
happens.
NBA won't even talk bad about China. You think you're going to go to China and talk about them?
Bro, you can't even do that to Mexico's flag.
No. So what do we have next? What's next on our thing? I mean, there's so many things we can talk about. I mean, we could do this for forever. But we do have back to Beijing Biden. Go ahead. I'll let you read this one.
So Biden lost out on jobs, billions of dollars, and revoking the
The pipeline?
You know the funniest thing, bro?
Billy, that's outdated. Why are we talking about that?
Hang on, let me just
Stop.
let me just because that was one of my main things I talked about in 2021. Because I'm
remember.
like, this energy crisis we got going on right now, bro,
Yeah.
would have never happened
Yeah.
if we didn't shut down this pipeline, right? Of course, it didn't get completed. Like, well, it would have been
Yeah.
completed by the end of the year.
By now it would have.
You can't just pump gas out of the
100%.
floor like nothing happens.
But I think what's more important, right, is not the headline, but really breaking down the actual facts, right? So this is an actual report. This isn't, this is a report from the Biden administration Department of Energy, right? These are his people.
right.
And they said that the Biden actions on the permits effectively brought this production to a halt. A report from December of 2022, this was just last month, stated that this pipeline cost the American taxpayer this year $9.6 billion with a B.
I felt that in my
dollars,
chest.
$billion. And some of you might and 60,000 American jobs, right? Now, I know $9.6 billion doesn't sound like a lot, when you're giving $110 billion to Ukraine and
110 is more than that,
is it now?
bro. It's like $140 billion.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Man, so that's not even, that's
That's
like
that's
7% of
a
what we gave
penny
to
in the
Ukraine.
bucket for that.
Penny in the bucket. But again, now I'm not here to speak on the establishment. We're here to talk about what the people are feeling. $9.6 billion, right, given back to impoverished communities, given to people that are feeling it. Now, again, when the first bill went out, right, for the Ukraine of $40 billion. A lot of people don't know this, and I was pretty vocal about it. That day in Congress, right, the Democrat-run Congress, they voted yes on the $40 billion, right? Everybody knows that. But what people don't know is that there was a bill that same day, right after that, for $39 billion that would have sent direct aid to small businesses and restaurants.
Yes, and they spiked it.
And they said no.
Yep.
They said, we don't have the money. Fast forward a year later, we've sent $80 billion more to another country. Not to mention the amount of money that we've just spent on this omnibus bill, which we're not even talking about today. But it goes to the point of, did you know that in that bill we've sent actually I think a few $1 billion to other countries to secure their border?
Right.
And again, this $9.6 billion that we lost out on the pipeline, what was the actual ticket cost to finish the border wall?
It was $5 billion.
$5 billion, which was too much.
Pennies. Even that.
No, it was too much according to Congress.
Well, that's
we
what
don't
I'm
have
saying.
that kind of
but
money.
That same year, they sent $50 billion to El Salvador and Honduras. That same year, and the caravan came a couple weeks after that.
So we shut down, and look, I totally get the whole fossil fuels not being I understand there needs to be a clean energy source for the future, right? We can't sustain fossil fuel forever. I get that, but I'm not also ready to turn in my F-150 for a Tesla. I'm not there yet. I like
get stranded.
I like Elon, but I'm never gonna buy a Tesla.
I'll be not that
They're nice. They're nice.
I gotta say something. I don't trust Elon, bro.
We'll get to that.
I don't trust the dude.
I
like him, but I don't trust him at all.
You know what? Elon's like that uncle in your family. Like every time you think you could trust him, he lets you down.
Nah, I
but
don't
like
got that uncle.
he's still cool. You don't got that uncle? I got that uncle. He's weird. But I talk about I totally forgot you threw me on this Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
No, we were talking about before Elon Musk. We were talking about something here.
You don't want to get stranded in a Tesla.
No, the clean energy.
Yeah.
Right, I understand that, but right now we don't have the infrastructure to do that. I mean, we have California basically begging residents to not charge their cars.
Rolling blackouts, bro.
But these are the same people that pushed, you need to do this. It'll save you money on your energy costs. It'll do all this. It'll do all that. And then they turn around and say, by the way, you can't charge your car.
Bro, they're experts at gaslighting. They'll tell you do this. Opposite thing happens.
They must have been friends with my ex-girlfriend.
No.
Hey, yo, taking shots. Hey, yo. Sorry. Oh, no. Oh, come on, man. I had to do it. Gaslight me. Tell me to buy a car, and then I can't charge it.
Come on.
Stop
bro,
it.
And even the same thing. Oh, the president doesn't control the oil. The president doesn't control the prices.
So when the gas prices go up, it's not Biden's fault. But when the gas prices go down,
Bill
pat him on the
Pascrell,
back.
the Biden boom.
The guy was literally eating ice cream in Delaware, and all of a sudden it's his, because we're paying now $3.20 a gallon. It's his job. What people don't understand, I'm going to break this down for you because maybe some of you don't understand economics. The reason the gas prices have gone down recently is because we released pretty much everything we had in the oil reserves, which will dramatically decrease the prices temporarily because we now have a surplus because we have this oil that we had for a rainy day. Number one, a lot of people don't know we sold over a million barrels to China. Because of the Keystone Pipeline being shut down, we're now relying on places like Venezuela, right? Socialist Venezuela, who is not actually producing oil cleanly the way that America was, right? And we talk about, and that goes into like things like the Paris Climate Agreement, right? We're like, we need to reduce our carbon footprint. America was actually one of the cleanest, right?
Not even was.
No, but the problem is the biggest energy. The people that were making it the dirtiest were places like China, places like India.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody has a problem with that. But here we go, and we go back to this, and so the prices has gone down. Everybody thinks he's doing a great job because we've used our reserve oil, but we've stopped the production of oil, right? It's not like we could just, turn it on like a faucet and we make
Doesn't
it.
work like
There's
that.
a refining process, a drilling process, shipping processes, but I understand, my friends that want to drive electric vehicles and hybrids, but that technology hasn't seen 18-wheelers yet. And that's, for those of you that might not know, that's how we do get our food. That's how we get our supplies. That's how we get clothes, medicine. That's how we travel on airplanes, because they don't have solar ones yet. And that price is going to go back up, right?
I'm not bullish on any of this electric stuff, man.
Look, it's cool. It's cool. But you know what? I'm also, again, and here comes the tinfoil hat. I've read a lot. There was guys that were back in the 50s and 60s that created carburetors, because I'm a car guy.
Yeah.
Created a carbator back in the 50s and 60s that would have gotten you around 50 to 60 miles
Talking about the water
per
car?
gallon. No. This is regular fossil fuel. And I'll go deeper than that. But this is back in the early times. And the first one actually happened in the 1930s. Henry Ford bought it up. Threw it away.
yeah.
Then back in the 50s, another guy came up with a carburetor that at the time would have gotten you 50 to 60 miles per gallon. Here we are now. If we see a car that gets above 30 miles to the gallon, we're blown away. It's 2023, and we still don't have cars that get better because it's not about efficiency. It's about money.
That's it.
Right? If my car could double its gas mileage, how much money, how many billions of dollars, trillions of dollars do oil companies stand to lose? Tons. So there was also a guy in the late 70s that created a hydrogen engine.
Yep.
Combustible hydrogen, fully renewable resource, right? It would go into the motor, it would burn off, it would go back up into the atmosphere, and it would rain back down. It was a continuous cycle. But there's no money in water, right? There is now.
Gotta
in
sell you the bottle because it contaminated
right,
everything else.
Right, but there's the money is not the same way, because then what? Who's to stop me from pulling up to a river and filling up my car? Who's to stop me from filling up from my kitchen sink? You know, there is no way to do that. And there's no money in that. So the same people who perpetuate that we're doing things like this to save are the same people that are making sure it's not possible. Right? The same people, the Mitt Romneys, right? The Pete Buttigieg's, the people that talk about climate control literally fly on private jets to D.C. to vote on climate control bills. Great.
This dude, speaking of Buttigieg, just flew to somewhere. I can't remember with his
on a military jet.
On a military plane, bro. Like, come on.
But we're worried about the environment. But here we are using private jets. We're using private jets to fly. You know what I mean? This omnibus bill that was supposed to cut spending and help all the American people was flown to Biden on the Virgin Islands on a private jet. You know, people aren't doing this. And that's why I think, again, goes back to the point why I want to do this. Because, like, obviously running for a local election, you're talking about local stuff.
Right.
And, like, while I do care that East Brunswick has terrible potholes and that our government is a swamp in itself, and, like, I hope you're watching this because I hope you know that I will continue to be the Batman, and I will continue to make your lives uncomfortable because somebody has to.
Right.
But you can really only talk about things like that, right? The roads, the taxes, you know, the same thing that everybody in every little town talk about. But on a major, like higher level, national level stuff.
That's why I went Congress.
People aren't. Listen, I like Darius, and I ain't gonna primary him or attempt to. So you know, I gotta wait for one of these other people to decide they want to run.
Andy Kim, primary him, dude. I mean, not primary him, but I know that Healy guy's not running again.
He's not?
What the fuck? You gave him. I keep cursing.
You were the one.
They
Billy,
gave this guy $2 million.
Just for reference, Billy called me. He's like, "Hey, yo, Dave, just make sure you don't be cursing too much when we on the show." And Billy has cursed. I have cursed this many times.
I know.
Come on, man.
I know. Listen,
He's excited.
It's uncut.
He's excited. It's uncut. Tremendous.
Uncut. Never been cut before. The most perfect. Dude. Never been sliced. Never done. Just like that.
Huge. Speaking of Trump hands, can we? I know we already went off this topic, but let's. The fact that Matt Gaetz stood up smooth as hell. Matt Gaetz stood up smooth as hell today, fixed his suit, shook his tie, and was like, "I vote for Donald John Trump," and then sat back down. And even Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, "Yo." I think it's at a point now, and I want to go back to this because I met Kevin McCarthy, and, like, you know, I took a picture with him because I didn't know better. You know, he was at a diner. I was like, "Oh, what's up?" The guy on TV. You know, yeah, but you know, I don't think he's ever going to get in.
He's not, bro.
No. I think he has to step down. I think it's because Matt Gaetz said it straight up. He's like, "I'll never vote for this guy." I'm pretty sure tomorrow, like, Matt Gaetz can go in and say any name. Like, I want him to stand up tomorrow and just, you know, like, vote for Harambe or, like, you know, elect just
Enrique Iglesias.
Oh man, I would
for Speaker of the House.
It would be so smooth.
Nancy, please stop it.
I could be your speaker, baby. Yo, that shit would slap, bro.
Hey.
That's the kind of speaker I could get behind. Do we have any more headlines?
Yeah, any more headlines?
He said no, so it's just us. What's the time? Let's check it. We doing good. We got time. We got maybe about 5 minutes left. So moving forward, obviously this was our beta run here. But we want you guys
we're
to
not
get
betas.
We're not. No.
Here comes Jazzy.
This is not a beta. We're not beta. This is an alpha run. Is that what we call it? Is this an alpha run?
Don't mind if I do, Jazzy.
We all just came right in.
And we taking the dog. Give me the dog.
Give me a
I
dog.
want the dog.
Champagne for the new year.
I'm gonna finish this. I'm gonna finish this with Hogan on my
Thank you
lap
very much,
here.
Jazzy.
So you could finish that. So obviously, what our plan to do here is to bring you the.
Oh, what did you do to my dog?
I did nothing. The camera saw it. I did nothing.
Oh no.
That's your dog racist.
He's abused my dog.
Your dog doesn't like white
Hogan,
people.
did he hit you?
Bro, this is ridiculous.
Gaslighting. Gaslighting.
I got gaslighted by a dog. But you know, to bring you the topics that people aren't talking about and give you really the unfiltered American opinion, because we're not elites. We're not from money. We're just regular dudes that, you know, wanted to make a change. And obviously the elections that they didn't go our way. But that doesn't mean that the fight stops there. That doesn't mean that because, you know, the results didn't go the way we want. You know, and again, I think we can have a whole segment next week to talk about election integrity. To talk, I think, you know what? That's so. Just so you know, you're going to tune in next week, and we're going to talk to you about the grassroots movement.
Yep.
We're going to talk to you about election integrity. We're going to talk to you about ballot harvesting, mass VBMing, and how we need to clean up the voter rolls, because whether you agree with that sentiment or not, those things, look, I'm not here to say that VBM's not going anywhere. We know this. VBM is here to stay, but we need to clean up the voter rolls. Prime example, and I'll talk about this again next week. There was a guy on the voter rolls in East Brunswick that was 122 years old.
That dude's like uploaded to a computer.
If you're watching this because, you know, Mr. 122-year-old man, inbox me. I want to buy you a beer, because if you can live to be 122, you deserve a beer.
It's true.
But, you know, we are here. We're unapologetic. We're here to give you guys the unfiltered reality of what's going on, because there's too much BS. You know, we were talking about this earlier. You want to talk about, everyone likes to talk about their independent thinkers. Everybody likes to talk about they think freely. There's a Habit Burger that opened in my town today. And I've never been there, but like it was literally raining, and it was 11:30 on a Thursday, and there was about 45 people standing in the rain for fast food. Fast food.
Habit's not even all that, bro.
I've never had it.
It's okay. It's definitely better than McDonald's, but it's not wait in the rain.
But again, these are I guess like the new year, new me. Like it's December, it's January 5th, and like you're already eating fast food. Yeah. You know, but it just goes to show you that like people will literally like either A, they don't have any free thought, and like that's what they want to do, or B, this goes to you, Mayor of East Brunswick. This is how bad we need restaurants. This is how bad we need. Bro, smoke. Pop smoke.
He wants all the smoke.
All of it. But this is how bad our town needed restaurants, that people were willing to stand outside 45 minutes to eat a burger.
It's mad.
It's crazy. That's
absolutely
crazy.
Mad.
So I think on that note,
gonna pop the champizzle.
And this will be a wrap on our first episode. Make sure you guys tune in every Thursday, 8 p.m. Billy Prempa, Dave Herrera, giving you the unfiltered, unapologetic truth about what's going on in not only your community, in our state, and in our country. And we'll see you next week.
Happy New Year. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for watching Revive America.